Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to demystify a process that honestly feels a bit like magic, how we actually get code from a standard computer onto a raw, physical microchip to bring hardware to life. You see, building an embedded system isn't just about wiring up components. You need the absolute right software tools at every single stage of development to make the whole shebang work together seamlessly.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll look at why hardware needs software, map out the development cycle, introduce core tools like GCC and Git, check out the heavy-hitting integrated development environments, and finally, help you pick the right tool for your project.
Section 1. Why hardware needs software. To kick things off, we've got to talk about the biggest hurdle every embedded engineer faces right out of the gate, the language barrier.
When you sit down at your computer, you're typing away in C or assembly. It's structured, sure, but it's basically human-readable English-like text. The microchip, though, it lives in a totally different universe. It's a raw piece of silicon that only understands machine-readable binary, just pure ones and zeros. You can't just drag and drop a text file onto a chip and expect a miracle. We absolutely need a dedicated suite of tools to translate our human logic into the exact binary instructions that the hardware actually understands.
Section 2. The embedded development cycle. So what exactly is the journey your code has to take to cross that massive language barrier?
Every embedded project relies on 5 vital steps. First, writing the code in your text editor. Second, compiling and building, which is where that translation into a binary file happens. Third, flashing to the MCU, literally uploading that binary onto the microcontroller. Fourth, debugging, where you hunt down and fix those inevitable errors. And fifth, version control, so you can safely collaborate and never lose your hard work.
But here's the kicker. This isn't just a straight line from step 1 to step 5. It's a constant iterative loop. When you hit a bug during testing, and trust me, you will, you don't just stop. You loop right back to the text editor, rewrite the code, recompile, reflash, and test it all over again. You just keep spinning through that cycle until everything works perfectly.
Moving on to Section 3. Core tools, GCC and Git. Let's meet the 2 foundational, standalone hand tools you'll be using to manage that cycle. I like to think of them as the translator and the time machine.
First up is our translator, GCC, or the GNU Compiler Collection. It's a completely free open-source compiler that takes your C or C++ files and transforms them into executable binary. It is basically the underlying engine driving most modern embedded software, flawlessly handling architectures like ARM Cortex-M, AVR, and RISC-V.
Now, the really wild concept here is cross-compilation. Think about it. Your host PC probably runs on an Intel or AMD processor, right? An x86 architecture. But the code you're writing is meant for a totally different architecture, like an ARM chip. It's literally like writing a complex instruction manual in English on a standard PC, but specifically formatting it for a microchip that only reads binary. The cross-compiler does all that heavy translation lifting for you.
So if GCC is the translator, Git is the time machine. It's a distributed version control system, tracking every single line change you make to your codebase. Knowing Git isn't just helpful, it's an absolute, indispensable skill for modern engineers. It is your ultimate safety net.
Let's break down a couple of quick Git terms. Think of your repository as the master ledger, a central folder with the entire history of your project. A commit, on the other hand, is a permanently saved snapshot of your code. It's exactly like a save point in a video game. If your new code adjustments completely crash the embedded system, no sweat, you just revert back to the last commit.
Then there's the branch. This is an independent line of development where you can safely experiment. Branches are how multiple engineers can work on the exact same project at the exact same time. You can test out a risky new feature on your own branch without blowing up the main codebase and just merge your work back in later when it's ready.
All right, Section 4, Integrated Development Environments. Let's look at how all these standalone tools get mashed together into massive software megazords, what we call IDEs.
We're kicking off our IDE tour with Keil MuVision. This is a premium, industry-standard software suite straight from ARM itself, and it is heavily used in commercial, high-reliability industries.
Keil packs everything into one slick application optimized for ARM Cortex-M and 8051 targets. You get a solid code editor, a proprietary ARM compiler, and a pack manager for downloading vendor support. But its real claim to fame? The incredibly powerful debugger. You can literally step through your code and peek right into the microcontroller's internal hardware registers in real time. It's seriously impressive.
Alternatively, if you're working with microchip technology hardware instead of ARM, you're going to be using MPLAB X IDE. This is Microchip's official development platform.
MPLAB X is great because it runs natively on Windows, Mac, and Linux. It uses specialized XE compilers for PIC and AVR devices. But the absolute best feature here, especially if you're a student, is the built-in software simulator. You can actually logically verify and test your firmware right inside your PC's memory. You don't even need to own the physical hardware board yet. And when you do get the board, it hooks right up to flashing tools like Pickit.
Rounding out our top 3 is STM32Cube IDE. This one is wildly popular, completely free, and built by ST Microelectronics specifically for their STM32 ARM chips.
Under the hood, it's running that free GCC toolchain we talked about earlier, plus live ST-Link debugging. But the real game changer is the CubeMX integration. Normally, configuring a microcontroller means digging through a massive manual to manually set registers. With CubeMX, it's a visual wizard. You literally just click on a graphic of a pin, tell it to be an LED output, and bam, the IDE automatically generates all the complex initialization C code for you. Talk about a time saver.
Section 5. Choosing the right tool. With all these options out there, how do you actually pick the right one for your project?
It really boils down to matching the software tool to your specific hardware family. If you're on ARM or 8051 and need a pro-level debugger, Keil is fantastic, though it can get pricey. For PIC or AVR microcontrollers, the free MPLAB X is your best bet. And if you're rocking an STM32 ARM board, you definitely want STM32Cube IDE to take advantage of that sweet automatic code generation.
Which brings us to a pro tip. If you're an ECE student or just starting out, your best move is diving into MPLAB X or STM32Cube IDE because they are entirely free, have a ton of documentation online, and are widely used in capstone projects. They are perfect for getting your hands dirty with embedded workflows without spending a dime.
Well, let's wrap this up with a quick knowledge check. Remember, a compiler translates your human code into the binary the chip craves. A git commit is your safe, permanent save point. Knowing how to use these tools to translate your ideas into a binary reality is literally half the battle in embedded engineering. So as we gear up to write code for external components like LEDs and switches, the big question is, which workspace are you going to use to build your first hardware masterpiece? Keep that in mind, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.